So today we will look at remove duplicates from sorted array, and the question is, given a sorted array nums, remove the duplicates in place such that each element appears only once and returns the new length. Do not allocate extra space for another array. You must do this by modifying the input array in place with one extra memory. And we have some examples here. So if we have 1, 1 and 2, what we would do is we would remove the duplicate 1, and then we would be left with 1 and 2, and then we would output 2. And we have another example. We have duplicate zeros 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we would remove the duplicates and we would be left with 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we would output the length, which would be 5. Since we know that the array is sorted, what we would do is we would compare the current element with the next element. And if the current element is the same as the next element, what we will do is we will remove the current element. If it's not, then what we will do is we will traverse to the next element. So we will have our index, so we will have I equals 0, and then we will have the length, which is length equals len nums minus 1. The reason we do minus 1 is because what we will be doing, since we're comparing the current element with the next element, if we don't do minus 1, what would happen is when I reaches to the end, it will be out of bound and out of index, because we would be trying to look for an element right here, but nothing really exists here. So when we do minus 1, I will reach out here to 3, and then it will compare it to the next, and after that the while loop would stop. So we would do length equals length minus 1 or length nums minus 1, and then we will have our while loop. So we will do while I is less than length, and then we will have our current element, which would be current element equals nums I, and then we would have our next element, which would be nums I plus 1. And if current element is the same as next element, then what we will do is we will pop out the current element, and we would pass in the index, which is I, and that will remove that element from the array or the list. Now because we remove one element from the list, what we have to do is we have to recalculate this length, and we can do this one of two ways. We can either, and the reason we do this is because let's just say that this right here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If we have 10 elements right here and the length is, let's suppose 10 minus 1, it's 9. So if we have the length of 9, and if we have this 9 right here, and when we keep on removing elements from this array or list, and if we don't calculate the new length, I will always I will always be less than length, because here we have 5 elements, and it doesn't matter, this I will never reach out, will never get to 9. So that's why we would have to recalculate the length each time. So here we would do length equals length minus 1, and here we can either do length equals length minus 1, or we can also do len, and then we would just pass in nums, and again we would do the same thing. We would have minus 1 here, but we will just use but we will just do it like this. And if the current element is not the same as the next element, then what we will do is we will increment I. So we can then, which would mean that the current element is not a duplicate, and then we can move on to the next element. And then at the end, what we would do is we would just return the length of the nums array or the list. And this looks good. And there you have it.